Good afternoon, everybody. Let's talk about skin tags and those dark skin patches called, I always say Acanthosis nigricans, but Acanthosis nigricans. So if you have them on your neck, on your elbows, on your knees, I want you to understand where they're coming from, why this is happening, but also understand, especially with the dark skin patches, that 80 to 90% of people with insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, have those dark skin patches. I'm going to talk about what insulin resistance is. I'm going to talk about how it increases your risk of both of those and how you can get over them more naturally without all the medical and other like topicals and stuff that everybody's respond or recommending. So let's talk about this. Normally, I say that blood pressure is one of the number one ways that you can tell you have an insulin problem. And I still hold by that. But can anybody guess out of skin tags and the Acanthosis nigricans, what's a better indicator even than high blood pressure, and maybe the first indicator that almost everyone sees as they head down this path of insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, diabetes? Does anybody know whether it's one for skin tags or two for Acanthosis nigricans? Do you guys know which one is the real indicator for whether you're developing a problem with insulin? If you know, or you think you know, put it in the chat. Let's start a discussion about it. I want to know where you guys are at. Welcome in, everybody, by the way. So good to see everyone in here. I want to dive in today and really explain this so you can understand what's happening to your skin, at least with these two for today, and insulin resistance. But yeah, guess what? It does affect acne and all of that too. So, all right, any guesses? Well, it's going to be Acanthosis nigricans. So those dark skin patches, whether it's that dark ring around your neck, the darkened patches on your elbows and your knees, that's happening from insulin resistance, but so is skin tags. But if you start seeing those darkened skin patches, understand that you have an insulin problem and you need to start addressing it now. That's an early warning sign for you, okay? So let's talk about insulin resistance really quick because I want you to understand insulin resistance and why this is happening. And we're going to get into a number of different things today. So, insulin resistance. There's a number of reasons why you could become insulin resistant. Stress is one, inflammation is one, seed oils increase inflammation, which increase your stress hormones. That's one. But the biggest driver for insulin resistance by and far is glucose or sugar. And so I'm not just talking about like white sugar, cane sugar. I'm talking about things like rice, pasta, breads, um, the bagged, boxed, bar-coded types of carbohydrates we get. What happens is your body starts to break all of this down into a form of sugar in your body called glucose. So even your fruits and vegetables create this glucose response in your system. We need it. Our brain needs it. Our cells need it. What is glucose in the body? Glucose is just energy in your body. And if your cells want to grow and be healthy, if you want to have energy, if you want to feed your brain, you got to have this energy, right? So it's necessary. Why do we then always complain about insulin and say insulin resistance is a problem? Because we're being fed too much glucose too often in today's world. So think about it like this. Your cells have a receptor or a lock. So like you're walking up to the front door, right? There's a lock you got to unlock to come in the door. Insulin is the key that unlocks that door. But in insulin resistance, it's like this lock is getting used so much that it's getting rusty and faulty and defunct. And now the key may still fit in, but it doesn't like to open that lock like it should. Now you don't have entry into the home, and think of that as your cells are happening. They just can't get the energy in, and this starts to become devastating throughout your body. You can't get the nutrients in and the energy that your cells need to thrive. And this includes your brain. So we've talked a lot about neurological disorders, Alzheimer's, all of that, but we're going to talk about skin today. But here's the opposite side. And if you've followed me for a while, you've heard me say this a few times. Although there are these cells that are getting tired. I'm going to talk about it another way I like to talk about it. Say you're living in a condo or an apartment building, and the little lady next door brings over a welcoming casserole or cookies, and she just wants to chat once in a while. And you're like, yeah, I love seeing you. You bring me good stuff. I'll open my door for you anytime. But then all of a sudden, a bunch of college kids move in and they're knocking on the door and doing ding, doorbell, ditch, whatever. And it's just constant chaos in those hallways. And there's too much knocking on the doors. And now you don't want to open the door ever. It's kind of what your body feels like under insulin resistance. So let's break it back one more step so you guys can understand this. Our food is driving the problem, not a lack of medications, not a lack of anything else. It's too much food too often. So insulin is a hormone. Hormone's job is to deliver the energy to the cells, but with insulin resistance, that hormone is being produced too much. Every time you eat, your body cues, especially with the carbohydrates, your body cues from your brain down to your pancreas. Your pancreas is where the insulin is created for you to create insulin so that it can carry this glucose that's in the bloodstream and get it to the cells. Otherwise, it just kind of sits in the bloodstream. Okay. So as we're cueing this insulin, when we eat, we're cueing it too much, right? Now it's like filling a water bucket. And we fill a water bucket so far and it's okay. And we use up a little bit of that water, we use up a little bit of that water, and then as the bucket gets lower, we fill it. But what we're doing with food is we're overfilling that bucket and it's just spilling over all the time. And now we cannot possibly use all of the energy that we're putting into our bodies. There's a cycle that happens. It has to have a couple hours for your blood sugars to spike after you eat, has to have a couple of hours for them to come back down, has to have about 4 hours after that before insulin can come back down after it got cued to be spiked by the sugar that's in your bloodstream. So it's at least 8 hours after you eat before insulin comes down. Why is that important? Because insulin is, and we're going to use this word again in regards to another hormone in a little bit. Insulin is anabolic, meaning it wants things to grow. So when we're over spiking insulin all the time, I want you to be thinking about skin tags and those dark skin patches, right? When we're cueing insulin all the time, it's anabolic. It wants things to grow. So keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to get there. But now insulin is trying to get this energy to the cells. It wants things to grow. It wants things to be healthy. Super important hormone for us to have. But again, we just have too much of it. So some of the cells are saying no to it. Some of the cells are saying, I'll take it. I need it. We'll deal with it. And then the rest of the glucose that can't come out of your bloodstream starts going in your fat cells. That's your storage unit. We're going to come back to the skin in a second. But now one of the things that happens, and I haven't explained this for a long time, is that when your fat cells start to get too full, and they will start to spill that glucose back out into your bloodstream. And now, oh my gosh, your blood sugars go up, your A1C is going up, and now all of a sudden you're being told you're diabetic. The cue is not to take a shot of insulin, to do all of those things. The cue is to give your body a rest. Don't make it produce insulin all the time. All right, so most cells are saying no to insulin in an insulin resistant state. No sound. Why no sound? Let me see if I can fill that. Jill, fix that. And that's a good cue for me because I need to reuse this. Hang on, guys. We're going to try and fix the sound over here for everybody else. Hold on. Let's see. Hopefully you can hear me now. Jill, can you hear me now? Because I'm live on Facebook and YouTube as well. Jill, can you hear me? You should be able to hear me now. So I hope you can. That would explain why people aren't hopping on that this morning. So here's the thing. Now, we have these cells that are saying, no, it's too much. I can't use all this. And so they're starting to get sick because they're just not taking in the energy they need. Maybe those cells have gotten sick and are Okay, I'm gonna shut it down over here. I will repost it onto YouTube from my TikTok. Go to TikTok, watch it there. I'll fix the sound in a minute. Well, wait, let me see if I can fix the sound over on this other one. That's odd. So